what's up guys? Well, this is day 2 of this build. Today we're going to show you how to install the exhaust system, the new performance exhaust system that we are putting by Akrapovic Full Titanium. Bam! Yeah, it makes me feel like a transformer guy, but okay, with all seriousness here, what we're going to do and start with is with the header pipes. And the one thing that we will recommend is to always replace the exhaust gaskets. In this case, the bike only has 20 miles on it, so we inspected, the gaskets are brand new. Let me zoom into it so you kind of get a peep of what I'm talking about. So these little copper looking pieces, circles right here, these are the gaskets for you guys, okay? So they're not even crushed yet. So this is where we're gonna tie in our exhaust, our header pipes too. Let me show you what the header pipes are looking like. We went ahead and got some things ready in advance, but this is pretty much where we're at. Full titanium. We're gonna show a comparison of weight later. This comes with the springs, which you're gonna go ahead, we're gonna connect them to these little slots here, which will then, from the slots here, it will pull the actual header onto the exhaust port. Then we're gonna go ahead and get everything else going as far as the prep work. So definitely, you gotta remember this bike has the exhaust, the O2 sensors. So what I like to do on these O2 sensors before, I like to go ahead and lube the O2 sensors. What we're gonna lube it with is with the little anti-seize for the high temperature. That way if you ever need to take them off, they remove very easily. We're gonna use a ceramic anti-seize cream that is sent by Akrapovic. Every joint that we put together, like with the slip-on exhaust, we're gonna go ahead and put this in. It's a special bond, so it fits in tight, doesn't wear out the titanium, and it protects against the heat. Okay, and that's every joint. This does come for you guys that are in the states where you don't need the O2s, you're not gonna run them. You just block it off on the pipe and you forget about it, okay? So, the other thing we're gonna also do, we're gonna mount this bracket, which is gonna be for the new silencer tip of the Akrapovic to mount. We're not gonna use the stock mounting bracket for the back. And this is gonna be our final piece, which is gonna be the cover for the exhaust. It's gonna be a full carbon fiber piece. What we did already ahead of time, we went ahead and put in the bolts with the actual little heat temperature O-rings, which is gonna keep the carbon fiber from burning up, okay? And it protects, it has two, one on the inside, one on the outside. And this is gonna be our mounting bolts for this cover and for the actual silencer. All right, so let's get to it. All right, so let's move the intercooler that's here. Slide the header in, and then we're slowly just gonna bring it up. It's very light, that's a good part, so it's not too heavy on your hands. All right, guys, well, now that we positioned the actual header in there, which was pretty simple, you just gotta move the pipes. Yeah, you gotta remember that the pipes being on there, you can actually take them completely off and just individually put them in, right? But for me, it's easier just to leave them how they come already assembled with the springs, and all you do is just split them apart or put them together, and that'll allow you to line them up in the header. Now the next step would be, when you're putting in the bolts, they make them pretty simple. It's a 8mm. If you have a nice little round socket like this, would be better. That way it swivels around, right? And you're able to position it. So let me show you how I do it. I already got the flange in there. It is pretty simple. All you gotta do, you don't need two people. You just slowly go up, get in there. See how the Allen turns? It's all swivelly around, so it makes it easier for you to, and then with the other hand, you can just move up the flange a little more. That way you could then position your next one, right? Here it comes. And you start working from the inside area. Obviously, it's a little bit easier for me because I got a ramp. If you're working on the floor, it always makes it a little bit more difficult, or, you know, at floor level. But you can definitely still do it. And once that one stays on, then we're gonna move into the inner ones, which you should be able to see them. It's right next door. There's the other bolt, and we're gonna go consecutively. We're first gonna do these two. Well, I already positioned the other side, just one to hold, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, here we are, guys. We're getting to the last one I gotta put on. Dun, da, 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 okay. What we want to do is make sure In this situation, guys, you guys gotta have some very good fingers to be able to work these tools and these, and be very intelligent with your tools, what you use, so you can be able to make it easier for yourself. Right there, I already just threaded it in. That's the last one. Now that we have everything in with all the actual bolts, what we're gonna do is you always wanna kind of move your header, right, in case you needed to. I already did those. I kind of shook it around so I could set everything in place. And then I'm getting under the bike and just double checking every single one of them. And now I could actually reach them all just by hand, so that I know that we're pretty much even. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna torque them down. But at the same time, I also gotta remember, you still got the springs that we have to put in there, which is what we're gonna start pulling in. I'll show you, that's real quick. All right, guys, well, the only thing that I did see in this Akrapovic kit, it does not come with the spring puller. So you will need to purchase a spring puller, or if you have one, you know, there's a smaller type like this one, or one a little bit bigger, which is more heavier duty. You connect your spring to this hook, pull it, and you lock it into the actual pipe. Just be careful, because the things will fly off if you do not do it right, hit you right in the face. So that's the step that I will tell you. Be cautious, make sure you get your spring puller. And what I'm gonna do now is torque the header bolts. Generally it's about 8 to 10 pounds. Check your Yamaha instructions for torque specs, and that way you get it right. All right, guys, well, the next step is let's lube the joints wherever we got it with the Akrapovic ceramic cream. So just grab a little bit. You don't want to actually touch this stuff. It's got chemicals. You're gonna put it on the inside. Okay. Just evenly spread it out. Pretty much see what that looks like. This is gonna help with the actual silencer slipping on to the actual header end. And then what we're gonna do is position it. Now, one key thing, guys. I reached all the bolts in the header, but I still haven't tied them up, because what you want to do is give it enough looseness, you know, so that you're able to assemble everything together first. Once you have, let's say, this bad boy here, right, connected, which you can see how beautifully it's just sliding in. Once this goes in, everything lines up, all the bolts connect, you're able to mount this here. Then that's when we're gonna tighten everything down to these specs. All right, another thing I like to do is put a little bit of anti-seize on my O2 sensors. It has to be just a dab, guys. Okay, this looks like a lot just because I got a lot in my finger, but you just barely put just enough. What you don't want to do is get this onto the actual sensor, which then blocks the reading. Then you have a bad sensor. Now, one other thing. Now you're gonna go ahead and thread it into the actual pipe. See the cables right here? You're gonna end up twisting it, right? So you're gonna twist the cables up so badly, it might just rip off. So in this case, what I like to do, okay, it's kind of a little bit of cheat, I will twist it the opposite way. Right? At least that much. So now you're gonna see the cable starting to twist. So now what I'm gonna do is, what's cool about it is then when I go ahead and put it in, it's gonna untwist itself as we go. Remember, that's gonna take a 17 to tighten it up. The next part of this header needs to be connected to the body of the bike, right, to the frame. So zoom on in here. You use one of the stock bolts back in here to install and position the header here. On the back side, you're gonna have to put a actual nut that's provided. It's a hex nut by Akrapovic. I always recommend, go ahead, pull out the Loctite, at least a blue Loctite. If you go red, it might be a little too much. Put a little on your glove, put on the actual bolt, thread in your nut on, tighten it down. All right, but we're not tightening nothing down yet until I finish putting everything on. All right, guys, well, now that we have the silencer on and we put in the ceramic cream into the actual exhaust to put it together, which makes it easier to assemble, we're gonna go ahead and put our springs. Very simple on this model, you know. All we gotta do is just latch one on there, grab the other. Like I said earlier, watch your face, pull, There's one, okay? We're gonna do the same, there's two. Now, another thing that we gotta look at here is we're gonna put the actual bracket so we can mount it because we got rid of the original. This is already threaded here and threaded here. So what we wanna do is make sure that we get our bolts in there and we Loctite them. You know, like this little tiny one, that's gonna be supporting the bracket. Loctite that. Loctite this nice Allen that I'm putting on. Actually, this bolt right here was not provided with the kit, okay? So you're gonna need a little M6 so you can go ahead and pop it through here and hold the other end of the bracket. This is gonna hold this bracket right here. So let me go ahead and do it now. I put actual pressure washer on it too. And then what we're gonna do is line this guy up too. And sometimes these pieces have powder coat, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to get it done because the powder coat is just does not allow the parts to thread in. There we go, got that. So now it's loosely set, and I'm gonna actually get it a little tighter before, because then the next step is gonna be for me to go ahead and put in the pipe, connect it, and put the carbon fiber, but that's a little tricky, so I'm gonna show you how to do that. What I also did on this pipe already, I reinserted the clips here, which these clips are where the actual carbon fiber is gonna connect. So when the carbon fiber cover connects here and it bolts here, we don't wanna crush it. I'm gonna show you how to do that. All right, cool. All right, guys, so like I said, let me take this line off. So now what we're gonna do after I put in the springs, we're gonna go ahead and put the nice carbon fiber by Akrapovic. This is the part where you actually gonna put the little ceramic washers, one on the inside, one on the outside. This is gonna require for you to lock it in. Okay, this is what, a T20. What we're gonna do first is throw in the actual bracket that's gonna hold the pipe and the cover first, so it makes it a little bit easier for us to assemble. So simple like this, grommet in the front, washer, this spacer holds it so it doesn't get completely crushed, doesn't break your carbon fiber. We have a washer and a nut, this hex nut that's gonna keep it in place. So what we're gonna do here is just kind of push on the pipe a little forward so we could get the hole in there to line up, okay? See, there you go. That kind of holds itself. Washer, hex nut on the back. Reach it. All we're doing is just reaching it. Don't need to tighten it up because for now we have to go ahead and do this part, which will be your cover right here, right? So if everything's tight and you're not gonna be able to do these adjustments like what I'm doing now. See, here we are, adjustment. Now that it's in, now we can kind of reach it in. Pulling it down, because what I could see in this model, the actual peg is hitting the pipe slightly, and we don't want it to hit the pipe slightly, because what it's gonna do with the vibration, it's gonna damage the whole carbon fiber. All right, so after this, now what we're gonna do is go ahead and start tightening all our bolts from the front to the back. Torque it all down, factory specs, and then we're gonna start reassembling, and that's what we're doing next. All right, guys, well, we pretty much put everything on the bike, right? As far as the assembly of the head pipe with the slip-on, the actual fiber cover on the slip-on. So now what we're gonna do is, like I had mentioned earlier, we go back through the whole bike. Now we're gonna actually torque everything down correctly before we cover it up. On the header, it's an 8 to 10 pounds per pipe. Check your specs just to make sure that that's right for your bike. So that's what we're doing right now. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set that up, and then we're just gonna do it one by one as we go. What you call crisscross applesauce. You don't wanna, do one side more than the other. Once the tool vibrates and beeps, it's already hit the actual torque. What we wanna do, we don't wanna crush the actual gasket either too much, just enough, right? So it doesn't leak. So here we go again. That's the other side. There we go. And we're gonna consecutively continue to do this all the way across. So I'll do these two, then I'll start from the other side, do those two, and then we will torque all the bolts all the way to the back, and then we'll start covering. All right, guys, well, we're coming down to the end of this installation. Next step is, after we cleaned up all of the bolts and everything we didn't need, we're gonna go ahead and put our fibers back on, And remember, like I told you, we're supposed to save this shield. This is going to go on the bottom portion of it. Everything's going to mount back the same way as it was stock. And then we're going to go ahead and reassemble the back end of where we took it apart to remove the servo and the cables. And then we're finished. And then we're going to fire it right up. All right, well, here we are. We just completely finished putting back all the plastics. You know, make sure you set everything in, you don't overtime stuff, but you also don't leave things loose. The exhaust system has been installed. Let's go ahead and listen to this bike and see what this sounds like. Well, you hear how wicked this bike sounds like. At the same time, we could also make it a little bit louder. We take the silencer tip off the bike, but you know what? We're gonna go ahead and do that on the next build. Thank you guys for following. Thank you for checking out our video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That really helps us out. And if you really like this video and you guys wanna, hey, we wanna send out a little donation, that's up to you guys. But if you like these types of videos, please let us know in the comments. And request any other kind of bikes that you would think that would be really trick, that we could actually get some views, show something that you guys could learn. And at the same time, if it helps you guys put it on and do the install yourself, save you a little bit of money, you got it. But if you need the parts, you need the service, you need the repair, and you just want to get it done in a really good shop like us here at Advanced Motorsports here in Chula Vista, California, hit us up. 619-691-0866 Advanced Motorsports. This is Herman Ramirez checking out. Peace, guys. We'll see you on the next.